who, 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 who ready? We ready. Who ready? We ready. Who ready? Who? We ready. Who? Who ready? Who? We ready. Who? Motivation to youth only. Mentally feel like Kobe. I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me. Euro step like Ginobili. From young OG to the OG. From nosebleeds to floor seats. Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready. Who ready?
Oh, can you hear me now? Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the One-on-One Sports Show here on the BMU Network. I'm Mr. Bennett with my brother, as always, Coach Ferg, and salute to the bold and the beautiful, the beneficent, benevolent Ball Brotherhood of the BMU Network. As always, we here representing not only for the Baldies, but also for the shout out to the Gen Xers as well. Hopefully our guys from Texas, both Dante and Shawnee, hopefully they'll be coming this way soon. But we thank you for joining us tonight on this Wednesday, the 1 week after Thanksgiving. And so I got to ask, first of all, Coach, how was your Thanksgiving, sir? How the football and all that kind of stuff, the food, how'd you enjoy yourself?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Hey, man.
Doing good, sir.
Man, my Thanksgiving was beautiful, man. I just wanted me and the wife here today. I mean, Thursday. I ain't want to invite nobody over. She made everything. I was the sous chef. I prepped, the little chopped up stuff, but she cooked a hell of a meal. I ate on 3 days. You know. And,
so you guys don't do a bird then, right? Or do you?
Yeah, man. I got the smallest bird I could find, man.
I am a wing man. I love me some turkey wings. So I could have did. In fact, even for the night, I just ate the wings, man. They'll do a bird, and then my sister-in-law, she'll always do like a side order of wings. And so I just eat the wings mostly. I love turkey wings. I can eat those any time of the week. And my wife does a mean smoked turkey wings, man. So smothered turkey wings. So I love that.
Yeah, I just eat the breast, man. That's the only part I want is the breast. I like the breast. I've always liked the breast, man. And I have to arrange my plate sort of like everything has to like the macaroni has to be close to the greens and the green beans.
You sure you don't need some OCD?
Yeah, be close to the cranberry sauce,
right,
and the turkey in between it. I got to set up. Cornbread, can't touch nothing. That's corn muffins we made, but yeah, man, we had sweet potato pies, man. I ate a whole one myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever tried? Now, last year I found a recipe for sweet potato pie cheesecake.
Ooh.
So I make the pies every year. I've been baking since I've been like 8 years old. So I do that. Put that cream cheese on there as well. Fire. Everybody's pie. I'm about to get a recipe for you, man. For real. For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we did it up. So again, shout out to our guy Dante. The Cowboys on a winning streak now. Hold on. The season's not over yet. They're keeping the light on.
Man, we mock drafting, man. We mock drafting over here, but I do appreciate it. I want to say this. I thought that Washington was further ahead than what they were. I thought they were going to beat us. And then it was just like, when I saw it, I was like, they might not be ready yet. It might take another year. Like I thought originally going into the season. But I knew I was like, look, the Giants are terrible. I was thinking the last week of the season was going to be Thanksgiving. You can't avoid it. You sit around with the family, do your normal tradition. And it was a terrible game, but it's like, hey, you came out with a dub instead of an L.
That's it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. Like Mike Tomlin says, learn with a W.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but how's your Thanksgiving overall, man? I know you would, busy planning stuff and whatnot. So how'd it go for you?
Man, Thanksgiving was good, man. It was actually like hosting. Hosting is a lot different, like having to host it if people come over and stuff.
Yeah.
My brother, he played his college game. He played it on Wednesday afternoon. And then he came home with his girlfriend, and they came by. So it was cool. You saw him briefly because he had to get back for school and everything. But it was good to see him. My mom, my nephew, the kids. It was good, man. How was y'all Thanksgiving, man?
Nah, it's beautiful, man. It didn't do too much. Like I said, I'm a baker, so I baked all my pies and everything the night before, and then my wife, she has the kitchen in the morning. That's when she gets her baked mac and cheese and stuff on. My daughters, they did homemade cornbreads. They didn't break out the Jiffy Pop. You know what I mean? They got the homemade cornbread on, and then my other daughter, she did string beans, and so she found a recipe for those. She did one with bacon, and the other one without. And again, everybody, contribute. I got these grown women now, so everyone's contributing in their own way. And so yeah, man, beautiful time. It was this year was very spiritual. I know we had like my father-in-law, who's kind of like the tribal chief of the family. He just kind of laid hands on everybody and whatnot. So it was a beautiful time, man. We definitely bring a lot of people together. So, but we had some football over the weekend. We're going to get into the NFL in the second half of the show, but I want to talk about some of this college scene going on. So again, as usual, we had a lot of upsets over the weekend. I mean, you had Ohio State losing to Michigan, I don't even think Michigan is ranked at this point. I don't know if they're going to a bowl this year. So that was a huge upset, to the point where they're actually thinking about firing this coach. This guy's has a 66-10 record since he's been there. He's been to a national championship game. And obviously they're going to be in the college playoffs, and you already got buzz coming out of Ohio State that if he doesn't win the national championship, he could be gone, because for some strange reason over there. Now, I get it. Ohio State, Michigan, that's probably the biggest rivalry in college football. I would say probably more so than any SEC, Alabama, Auburn, or any of those matchups or whatever. I know it's huge, but they say with that rivalry, you are judged based on your ability to beat the other team. So, you were there as Ohio State coach to beat Michigan. And, so again, so you got that going on. Yeah, obviously you had the, you had quite a few. So Miami lost in a shootout with Syracuse. And so, again, we went topsy-turvy. But the big impact from all of this is the current rankings right now. So right now, as I was mentioning you guys in the chat, they found some way to keep Alabama relevant, and they dropped Miami because of the loss. And again, it wasn't a blowout, but they had a 21-point lead. They lost it and whatnot, but still, they dropped Miami 6 points to now they're on the outside looking in, and somehow they've made a case for Alabama being in there. So let's start with that. What do you think of the current rankings? I'm going to try to pull these up while if you guys want to give a commentary. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm trying to pull up on the screen. So go ahead. Right. You can do your commentary. I'm trying to pull it up here.
Alabama being in the top 12 and basically being, and this is the one that is, as far as those of you that don't know, they're going to release the final rankings after championship weekend that Sunday. So if you were in this position on the week before, basically everybody else can be like, hey, we're going to make it. We're in good position. You shouldn't fall out, especially when only the top tier teams, except for, the Big 12, of course, and, in the Mountain West, they're going to be playing in a conference championship weekend. So you basically say, if you have an elite conference, if you're in the SEC, you're in the Big 10, the winner and loser are going to make it. You can say that. I don't feel comfortable with saying that Alabama should definitely make it over some of the teams. I'm comfortable with saying Ohio State, bad loss, their losses to a bad loss to Michigan, but a loss to the number one team in the nation. That's the only undefeated. They should make it. The winner and loser, obviously Georgia and Texas, they should make it. SMU has a strong case. And that's one of my things is you're going to put the name brand, and I know Shawnee mentioned it in the chat. No, he's not with us tonight, but he mentioned it. You're going to put that name brand of Bama there. And I know you're talking about eyeballs and money. What we got to do to mix up, we got enough eyeballs and money. We're going to have Texas. We're going to have Georgia. We're going to have Notre Dame. We're going to have, big, powerful names. I think you can leave Alabama out with 3 losses, because I do think you don't want to cheapen the playoff and cheapen your champion. You're no longer going to have the champion with 1 or 0-1 losses. You're not going to have that anymore with that playoff. Teams are going to beat each other up, and you're going to hopefully play a tough regular season schedule. I do think that you can make a case for maybe an Ole Miss, but that loss to Florida. So it's like everybody else is getting punished for their losses more than the name brand Alabama, but they don't even have the name brand coach anymore. They don't have him, and I don't want to see Bama get to the playoff and then be like, it's not Bama. You know, I don't want to see that. Like them losing to Oklahoma, that was a nasty loss. Oklahoma was fighting to make a bowl game.
Right.
No way. There's no way they should have.
And I think they only scored 3 points in that game, correct?
Yeah, 24-3.
Yeah, so I mean that's like I said, at least the Miami game, that was a shootout. I mean, it's like 42-38. So I mean, the game was there, and what Miami, you're going to get offense. So again, from a viewership point of view, they're definitely going to put points on the board. Can you outscore them or not? But Alabama, they've been so up and down all year. I don't know if the product is even that entertaining. So, but they, like I said, they're gonna try to keep these guys. They're gonna try to keep these guys in. But again, I just don't think that a 6-point drop for Miami. I didn't think I was there. Coach, what'd you think about again this shakeup? As you see on the screen here, the current one. So again, Oregon stays number 1, even though they had a close win their last game, but they're certainly in the mix. Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame at 3 and 4. I'm not feeling that at all, because those guys are paper tigers. Every time they get up in the dance or whatever, they go up against an SEC team or something that gets blown out. So I'm not favoring those guys. But again, you got Georgia or Ohio State. Like I said, they did a tumble, but again, not that far down. You would think they should have tumbled more because of that loss to Michigan. Like I said, unseeded. It's not like you got Harbaugh there anymore. So again, they're sort of in the rebuilding process. But what did you think of the weekend? What do you think of these shakeups when it comes to these playoff seedings?
I mean, I think it is what it is, really, because you got to think about it. If I'm a team and we fell off and we don't really have a lot to play for, we're getting up for the teams that we know we have a rival with. You saw it this weekend. Texas A&M, teams that really had nothing to lose. You're going to play your best games against some of these teams. You're trying to knock them out of the playoffs. You're trying to do that. Mm-hmm. I think Miami overlooked their game. I think they were looking past it, but I'm not surprised by the Ohio State-Michigan game. You can look at that series history, and so I'm not surprised by that. I'm a little surprised with Alabama, but I'm really not, because if you look at the top 12, they could beat 11 and 12. They have the team that can beat that. The juggernaut is Georgia.
Right.
That's the juggernaut, because Georgia haven't played his best football yet.
Right.
Skated by last game.
Right.
So
true. And the committee's argument was, when it came out, it says I think they say Alabama has a 3-1 record against these some of these top ranked teams, whereas Miami, I think they only have I think 1 game against a top ranked team or what have you. But at the same time, again, some of those losses were just awful. So again, you can't how can you reward them for not certainly beating losing to an unranked team? Now again, Miami did the same thing. But again, to have such a precipitous fall at this point of the year, it still smells like they were just looking for any reason to make sure that Alabama has a seat at the table, and that they'll always have a seat at the table, at least for the next few years, unless they really fall off and get to like a 4-5 loss status. Might be the only way to keep them out. And so again, but like you said, it is what it is. At this point, but I think the teams that people want to see, the only, like I said, sore spot here is obviously Colorado. Even though they had a big win on Saturday, still that their prior loss certainly dropped them out of now. But I still think there's. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dante. They can still get this. They have to win out in the Big 12.
No, they're out because it's the Big 12 title game. They had the chance to make it, and basically they needed. I want to say they needed BYU to lose.
Okay.
And so once BYU didn't lose, then they were knocked out of the championship game, and then they don't have a strong enough resume to make it in one of the 12 spots. So that loss, then they took the situation out of their hands. Then they needed a lot more help in order to get to that level. So got it. Yeah. So but still, I think whatever bowl game that they wind up in, I think it'll still be well watched and viewed. And again, I think he's still coach of the year candidate. When it comes to when all's said and done. So definitely looking forward to seeing
how who they play and what bowl that they play and whatever. Like I said, I think any place they go, I think they will do. I think they will definitely do well. But I want to talk about a subset of what's going on. So obviously we got the topsy turvy with with the losses and whatnot. But a sub theme that was built over the last week or so, and you had the Ohio State Michigan upset. Then you had NC State upset North Carolina, and then you had Florida State upset Florida. And the three incidences that happened after the game, it's this idea of this flag planting. So again, you win on your you do the upset on the home team's field, and then they go to do the flag planting, and all hell breaks loose. And so, so this question is, I know it happens. I know, what's that? I think it's Texas, Oklahoma. What was that when, who's the quarterback for Tampa Bay?
Baker Mayfield, when he was playing.
Baker Mayfield. But now, from what I understand, that game is played on a neutral field. It's not played on a home field, whatever that game is.
Yeah, the game that Texas OU, they play at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. And they always meet there at a neutral site. Where Baker did it was, I think it was a home series with Ohio State. And while they were playing in the horseshoe, they knocked him off, and he went and planted the flag because I think they beat him the previous year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So he came and planted the flag, and it started a bit of a trend where guys do it, but I don't know. I know a lot of people were actually enthused by it because they were saying that people were worried about college not being college because of the NIL and guys transferring everywhere. It's like, this is just a check for you and a way to get to the NFL, which is really what it is. But there is still the passion of like, hey, I went to this school. This is my rival. And those emotions came out this weekend. And I want to say it's good on the sport of, I appreciate the passion, but sometimes the delivery of, and I heard Bomani Jones said on his podcast, he's like, you get to kick their ass and beat them. And then you got to just disrespect them and come and put the flag in the middle and build a game. And it's just like Ohio State, they got it on both ends. They tried to stop them from playing the flag. And then they got their butts kicked in a fight. Like, Ohio State, this is an all-time bad day. Like, jeez. And then they came out with the mace. And I thought the mace was a bit much. It's like, hey, I know that these are big football guys and they're going and fighting. Sometimes if the coaches didn't get the spice up, you gotta let them big son of a gun. They gotta just stop fighting. You gotta get them to stop fighting. And the coaches, there's no need to bring pepper spray like it was a problem. Like, you use pepper spray at a club when somebody might have a weapon. Like that was a bit much. But like I said, it was the Ohio State police. So hey, maybe they were trying to stop their guys from getting their asses kicked. But I think that was a bit too much with the pepper spray. And it's kind of like, I think it's going to be a deal for next year's rivalry games. Flag planting, but I don't think we're gonna see flag planting next year.
I'm about to ask you guys, Coach. I mean, obviously, certainly you've coached on the football field, played the game and whatnot. What's your general view on flag planting? Do you think it's a good thing as a coach? Would you encourage that from your players or whatnot, or would you, spin players from doing? Just what's your overall view? Is it a classy move? I know, some guys will say, look, just the fact that you upset them or you might have knocked the team out of playoff contention or whatever, that you would think that should be enough. But where do you stand on that? Or even like in basketball. Now, again, usually in basketball, if you in the NBA, if you sweep a team, a lot of times especially on their court, I've seen guys. I know the Knicks. I remember this. The Knicks beat. I forget who they did. It might have been the Pacers or something like back in the day. Charles Oakley got one of those brooms, the dust brooms, and he went on the court and he brushed it on the court and whatnot as well. So I don't. What do you think of those kind of displays? Do you like those? What's your overall view on that? And what would you tell a team if you were the head coach? What would you tell them in regards to that kind of activity?
In 2003, I coached an undefeated team, right? Mm-hmm. I told them before the game, whatever we do, we're going to celebrate off the field, whatever we do. And we played at at an away site. I don't know if it was their home field, but it was an away game. I said, whatever we do, we're going to celebrate off the field, because I didn't want to put players in any position to get hurt. And I think, you talking college players, adrenaline rushing, bench pressing 300 or 400 pounds. In a situation like that, it's dangerous because there's fans on the field. There's, managers. There's a lot of people who really can't defend themselves. And sometimes you see it when some guys, they get mad, they just lose it. They just ready to hit anybody, fighting the coaches and everything. I just think, and you saw how the league, NCAA is handling it. So I wouldn't want any of my players to be a part of it. I would hope that, I've coached them before the game. Like, look, we ain't gonna do all that. Not, you know what I'm saying? But for the people who didn't play football, I can see how you can feel that way. I'm sorry.
And just additional context. We understand both Michigan and Ohio State. I think the colleges were fined, I think, $100,000.
Yes.
Yeah. For the incident. But I agree. I think it is. I think certainly. You got these testosterone-filled players who are, the emotions are going, especially in a rivalry. Like I said, this is arguably the biggest rivalry in. I remember those Bosch and Beckler back in the day and all that stuff, and so again, these things get very heated, and and again, there is the potential for fights to break out and other things, and especially if these guys looking to play at the next level. Do you think there should just be just an outlaw ban on flag planting? Certainly when you're on your home court, I guess you can do what you want. You tell your team just get off, especially when they do the storming. I'm still surprised that the college still allows the field storming the way they do, because that could be dangerous also. You're trying to get off, but that's still on college level. Yeah, especially if you upset a top 25 team and whatnot. Yeah, I mean they'll still do a lot of that college storming. I don't think they do it and even basketball games. I know Rutgers here. A couple of years ago they did. They upset, I think, number one team in the nation at that time. I think it was Purdue. And they did the whole, the storming of the courts and whatnot. So that stuff, even though they shouldn't do it, or they may put an announcement out, that doesn't stop, I think, people from doing it. And how you're going to police thousands of people? But that, in addition to the flag posting, I don't know. Do you think it's time that harsher penalties are done? By the NCAA or the powers that be, that these things don't happen?
I think the NCAA is going to ban it. I think they're going to ban it just because of the amount of the fine, and they're going to look at it over over in the off season, and I think they'll come to a consensus to this, or they'll just raise the fine. And I don't think athletic directors will be happy with a $300,000-$400,000 fine on a team. You know what I'm saying? Especially you look at these low tier teams outside of the power schools. You got these regular schools. You can't afford to get $200,000 or $300,000 taken out of your pocket.
No.
Dante, what do you? I don't think we got your view on it. So, what's your view just overall? Do you approve of it? I know you play ball. Do you approve of it? Is it something that you rock with, or you think it should be banned?
I think after this weekend, it should be banned. I think it's one thing to do it, but it's one thing to do it after the other team is gone and you do it, but to do it right there in their face, that's going to cause a fight. And the fact that, like you said, for Fox, this was the big noon Sunday. This is the biggest rivalry game in college sports, college football. To have that happen, and it was almost like, you remember when the Malice in the Palace happened, and it happened. It happened, and it's almost like when that happened that night, the colleges guys, they were watching and they seeing it. And if you look at it, that game is the first game played. You're watching what's going on in college football, and it just kept happening. It was a domino effect. So the two biggest teams in the rivalries happened. I think it's going to be, with that $100,000 fine, I think it's going to be banned, at least for next year. They're going to be like, hey, they're going to just, if they don't full out make a rule for it, because, the NCAA is, that's they bury police. So they're not going to, they don't have a lot of power. So they're going to put it out there not to do it. It's going to be encouraged. I think you might even hear it talked about as far as when they get to media days, it might get mentioned by the SEC and a few big conferences. But I want to clean it up. It was actually with Florida State. That was just hate. Florida actually won that one, but it's just that Florida State's had such a down year, so they went in to diss them, and everybody's taking their recruits. So it was just bad all around. Everybody did it. It was real disrespectful, and it's just kind of like I do think people are gonna turn away from it. But I will say this: I think it's gonna provide a little extra spice next year for those rivalry games. For everybody that got the flag planted on them. And I want to say Steve Sarkisian for Texas, he saw him coming to do it, and he kind of turned them away because they saw everything that happened all day, and they were like, "Nah, we're not going to do that. You know, we got to play next week." So
let's just look at let's just walk.
Hang on. It's BMU. I saw you in the back. You in the back? You have something to say, sir? Because I know you've been. Yeah. If he's in the back, you can certainly voice up. Because obviously him and Trey Taylor. Shout out to Trey. Haven't seen you for a while, brother. Good to see you. But certainly they got some smoke for this. They call these guys soft and all that kind of stuff. But again, is it? I would say this: is it not soft that you react the way you do? I mean, isn't that a soft act? Yeah, you got beat on your home court, which should not happen. You get beat, and then your emotions afterwards is the cause of fight. Is that not soft? You know, why not just take your lumps, get off the court or the field as soon as possible, and just look, fight another day. So the way these guys are reacting to it, is that soft? Or if you're looking at just the interest and well-being of the players, just to say, hey, we're not doing this at all, is that a better way to go about it? But why are these guys so sensitive that fights need to break out because of this stuff? So I don't know what angle here. So what do you guys think about that? But at BMU, if you're in the back, you want to come up and give you 2 cents, you're more than welcome.
But okay, so let's just walk this out. After the game, right? Y'all win, right? Y'all go plant the flag, but none of y'all got helmets on. We got helmets on. What you think? You see players slinging those helmets around? You see your manager, the female, 120 pounds, running out on the field. They're going to swing at her too. Everybody becomes the enemy at that moment. Coaches are get hit. It's going to be you want to protect the players best you can, is all I'm saying. Yes, I can understand football is a dangerous sport. Yes, played it for a very long time. But you can't go spit in my face after you beat me. I don't care. The players are going to take it personal. I don't care what. It doesn't matter. You can beat us 59-0.
So, but figuratively or literally, right? Figuratively also, right?
You can play the flag if you want to. The senior who's emotional about this game, it's his senior day. Shit, okay. He gonna slang it. He gonna Myles Garrett you with that helmet, with your helmet. He gonna do something crazy. He ain't got he ain't worried about getting suspended next year. Okay, go ahead. Put everybody in danger.
It's not worth it. I don't think it's worth the fight. Like, it's one thing to be like, hey, they can come and showboat, they do that, but you got to realize 18 to 22-year-old guys. So why put them in position? Why put them in position to be like, hey, go on, let them plant the flag, and then whatever happens. Yeah, you got to win. Let them celebrate on the 50-yard line, whatever. But playing the flag, I mean, you already beat them. You got your win. Separate the teams, let them get off the field, let them celebrate or whatever. But I wouldn't say it's soft. Like soft is like, I don't know, soft. There's other things that's soft to determine what's soft or not. It's just not the best decision, especially you got other games to play at the higher level. You got teams that's getting ready to go play bowl games, getting ready to go play in the college football playoff. While put them in position, guys start, throwing helmets and stuff. Then you got suspensions.
Right. I mean, what if it did break out like that? You got fights, guys getting suspended when they're about to go into the college football playoffs. So is that
it's not worth the squeeze? It's not worth it.
Yeah, for sure. But and that's interesting. You talk about now the 18 to 22-year-old thing. Now, I was watching some commentary on it prior to the show, and for what I understand, the Michigan coach was kind of jawing with the fans, with the Ohio State fans, kind of jawing it up as well. So, could you say that? Okay, could the players be like, well, if the coach is kind of digging at him, then I guess we got a right to do it also. But again, you're supposed to be the leader of the ball club. And if you're jawing with the fans, then what kind of message is that sending to your team as well? You're supposed to be the adult on the floor. So what do you guys think about what do you think about that?
All I'm gonna say is this. I'm gonna say this. Detroit Pistons. That's all I'm gonna say. Ron Artest running in the crowd. okay, if that's what you want, do it. Go ahead and go. Listen, you got to protect the fans. You got to protect the players. You know, they take enough beating on the field. Now, if they fight out, you know, if they off in the lock, you know, on the way to the locker rooms or something break out, you know, but it's when you see it, it's always, you know what I'm saying, messes the game up. It's going to bring a change. They seen too many of them this past weekend tonight.
Yeah. And even switching over to the program, talk about, again, protecting players and fans. Now, again, KP, shout out to KP from KC5. He talked about that hit on Trevor Lawrence in the NFL. And that guy, he got suspended for 3 games. Again, I thought it was a bad hit. I mean, obviously, you know, I was actually more upset that because there was a wide receiver for the Jaguars. He was like right there, and he didn't do nothing about it. It was another guy came in, he, you know, pushed it, and then the melee happened. I'm like, your quarterback just got taken out, and you just stand there and you do a thing. So I think I might have been more upset about that. But nevertheless, though, the guy, as he was coming out, they were pelted. There was like bottles being thrown. I mean, you know, guy was getting pelted. So again, storming the fields, the pelting, the flag planting and whatnot. I don't know, or the brooms on the basketball court. I just don't, like, to that earlier point. I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze there. Get your victory, get out, especially if you're in another place. I've been in basketball games in high school where it's like fights broke out, we getting out, our buses getting pelted. You know, trying to have a high school basketball game, and it's like, you know, it's like it's just not where. So I've been part of some of that stuff, and it's just not, you know, it's just not worth it, at least in my view. But the link has been dropped in the chat if anybody wants to come up, Shirley, and give you 2 cents either on the again, the college games over the weekend, or this issue of the flag planting or the taunting or whatever angle you want to take there. You certainly more than happy to come up and certainly share your views on it. I know, like I said, BMU and Trey Taylor, they definitely had smoke there. But the link's in the chat if you guys want to come up. Just the only thing we ask is that you with the exception of BMU, if you do come up, we do ask that you are that your camera be on. But that being said, again, moving to the NFL. So obviously, there were some major games over this past weekend. Obviously, let's start with Chicago. Chicago once again proving its ineptitude. I think we got Trey Taylor in the back. You on, bro? Trey, can you hear us? Not sure if he's muted or not. If someone could unmute Trey, if he can, Trey, we can't hear you if you're trying to talk. But see if you can, if there's someone in the back, see if you can allow Trey to talk. But I'll just kind of keep moving on. Just shout out Trey when you are when you're ready to start talking. But hopefully we'll get you up here in a minute. But again, moving to the NFL. So obviously, let's start just Thanksgiving Day. Again, Chicago Bears. Again, once again, another case of ineptitude. Here, you're in a position to, at minimum, yeah. All right. So BMU. So we don't have. So BMU. If you Trey's in the back, if you can bring him up, or allow. I don't have control here to bring him up on my end. Might need to grant me those rights later so I can have more control over the show. But if you can help when Trey gets up to bring him on, that'll be useful. But in any event, so again, you have an opportunity to at least tie the game. You let the clock basically run out. Once again, I mean, Chicago Bears have lost 6 games this year by a total of 20 points. And so, again, obviously, Eberflus, I mean, a lot of people say he should have been fired at the beginning of the season. And, certainly for Williams, should have had a better coach to begin with. Now they're starting their search for a new QB. The Lions survive certainly the day and whatnot. But we should get back to the NFL in a minute. But Trey, first of all, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute. Hope everything is well with you. So anything you want to say? I know you had a lot of smoke for the soft generation that is and in these soft OGs that are talking about this issue. So I'll give you 2 cents on this one. Give us the smoke.
Take the pads off of them now. Just take the pads off, put some flags on them, and after the games, everybody can hug and kumbaya, and we can hold hands and have a prayer.
I thought that's what they do at this time, though, right? They get them prayer circles. They pray. They kneel on the floor and go. I thought that's what they were doing anyway. Signing jerseys and exchanging stuff.
Exactly, exchanging jerseys. It's already bad enough that they work out together in the off seasons and all that nonsense. All this stuff is just terrible to me. But here's the thing, right? To me, I don't have an issue with the team that won. If I go into the big house and I beat that team there, go ahead, plant your flag. That's hard to do. I have an issue with the teams that lose and they have this reaction, right? You lost. Take your L, walk your behinds back to the locker room and go get prepared for next week and try again next year, right? If you play them again next year. My issue is never with the team. They won. They earned the victory. They practiced probably harder than you did. They probably had a better week of practice than you guys did. They probably had a better strategy than you guys did. And they probably were out-coached. Their coaching staff was probably better than yours, right? Take your L and go to the back. But the issue isn't the planting of the flag. The issue is the other team that lost and can't handle it because they didn't win the game. I don't have an issue with it. Like, they need to keep it because to me, it's been one of the more exciting things that's happened in college football and for a while. They need to keep it. They don't have any juice as far as I'm concerned. Outside of what's happening in Boulder, one of the reasons why I even watch college football right now is because of what happened what Deion's doing out there, which I said he would. I believed he would, right? But, other than that, what else is going on? It's sort of more of the same. Georgia, Alabama, well, not Alabama this year, but you know what I mean? Like, it's more of the same every year. And guys, people are getting tired of it. They don't want to see it. They're going to see something else, or else they're going to start watching something else. I don't have a problem with the planet flag. I do, however, believe they're going to ban it. There's no other way. They can't have a fight every weekend. So they're going to ban it. And
or a lawsuit if someone gets trampled or someone gets seriously injured. So I don't know if they want to deal with that either.
But who would get trampled? If there's a female that's out on the field, why is she there? You can't do nothing with them men. Why are you out there? And if you're a coach, if you aren't a good enough coach to get your players to not go out there in the first part, what you trying to stop them for now? Pepper spray was the proper answer. That's how you deal with large crowds. If you had a rally, or when I was on the department and we had these protests, when they would get out of hand, they used to give us these super soakers. They gave us super soakers full of pepper spray. And you literally just spray the whole crowd. And all you're trying to do is just push them back. You're not really trying to do it. You're just trying to push them back, create some separation. There's really nothing else you can't do. You can't pull out your guns and shoot them. So there's really nothing else you can do other than pepper spray them because you can't physically handle 50, 60, 70 testosterone latent 300-pound men who can bench press 225 25 times. There's nothing you can do with them. What are you gonna do? The only thing you can do is pepper spray. And the other part of this is too is that if somebody does get hurt, law enforcement can be held liable if they just stood around and just didn't do anything. They can be held liable. So they have to do something.
Right.
People don't like the pepper spray.
So what do you think then? Do you put more emphasis on the coaches themselves of the losing team not instilling that discipline in the players? Like, if we lose, we take the L and we get off, or so where would you put some? Or is it just the player? I mean,
I think only one team should be fined. It's typically the losing team that's going to start this. Right? The other
for sure.
runs out, they plant the flag, boom, right? And then they celebrate. Okay. But it's the losing team that comes over. They're the ones who are coming over with the vitriol because they lost. And they're the ones who want to fight, right? They want to fight. But at the end of the day, the only team that should be punished is the losing team because they're the ones who are really starting all
the instigators. Yeah.
And you guys don't. Okay, so my question is, because you guys don't want to use pepper spray, how would y'all have stopped it?
I would
don't say coaches because the coaches couldn't do it. So how would you have stopped them?
But understanding the dynamics
just how would you have stopped them?
I'm a coach. I'm gonna take my team into the locker room. We're gonna tuck our tails and go. We lost.
But you can't. You can't stop them. You have players on your team that have decided to defy you, coach, because that does happen on teams. That players will defy the coach. So you have players that have defied you and they are not going to the locker room because they're upset. How do you stop them?
But here's the thing: I instigated it. I wouldn't instigate it, and I have these conversations before. I expect some players to do it. Some players are going to go rogue, but I don't expect all 65 of my players to be out there doing it. I don't expect that.
Okay, so how do you stop 20 of them?
Well, I necessarily can't stop those 20 by myself, but I do have an entire staff, and each coach has a position of players. And get your players, I'm gonna get my players, and we sort of do it. Now it's gonna be 2 or 3, but we'll deal with those 2 or 3. Then they say, and I'm not gonna be taunting the fans because we could have had an incident like in Detroit a few years ago, because you can't control the fans. But at least the team, I have each position coach to say, hey, gather your team, gather your players, and move accordingly. Like those 2 that go rogue, listen, you done jeopardize your bowl game. You done what if somebody would have got
the point? You're making the point that coaches can stop them. We're past that.
You can't.
Once those guys run onto the field, the coaches can no longer do anything.
Well, now you get the consequences. So now everybody that could have been in that.
You're saying don't use pepper spray. I'm asking you.
No, you can't use pepper spray.
You have 20 players that have defied you. What do you do?
You said 20 players that defied you, right?
With
those 20 players.
Oh, they are.
So as a coach, I got 60 other guys. I'm pulling some guys. Hey, we're going to pull this up. We're going to break this up. But to have them pepper spray them, you're going to go over and pepper spray them and do all of that. This ain't no goddamn club, man. This ain't no damn club where somebody can pull a weapon. I ain't trying to have that. I think the optics of that look worse than anything, because it's like, because let's be real. If the players look a different hue, you're not going to go out there and paper spray them. You're going to go out there and let it happen and let it break up, just like it is in hockey. They just let them fight. Baseball, they just let them fight. Only in the sports where predominantly black men, we got to pepper spray, we got to do something. They're out of control. Forget all that. I'm not about it. My thing is, if I'm a coach, if you come out there and you pepper spray my guys, get the hell up out of here. I'm not going to have that. I don't agree with you on that one, Trent.
It's an absolute weak excuse to try to make a racial point on this. This is not about race.
No, okay. I mean, it's not around race, but I'm saying the optics of it does look bad.
Because neither one of you have actually dealt with crowd control. You don't know what you're talking about.
I understand. I understand what you're saying about crowd control. No, I haven't. I've only dealt with crowds of a couple hundred. I've only dealt with crowds of a couple hundred, if that, as a freaking loser. I have not dealt with large crowd control. So what you're talking, all right, Trent, I understand what you're talking about in that, but you've never dealt. So in crowd control, have you dealt with a football game, a Division I level athletes, guys that big, that strong? Have you dealt with that type of exact situation?
Yes.
So if you dealt with that exact situation and you use pepper spray with football players, like at the 50-yard line situation, or they're getting ready to exit. I'm talking about apples to apples situation. You've dealt with that exact same situation.
And let me explain to you what actually happened. They were getting ready to have a fight. They didn't get a chance to get to the fight, but we were instructed to only use pepper spray.
Mm-hmm.
If it got to that point, the only tactical tool you can use is pepper spray. See, what you guys are skipping is you're skipping the part that when it all comes down, when it's all over and the sides are separated, somebody's got to take the blame. And if somebody gets hurt, I mean tragically hurt, fatally hurt, somebody's got to be responsible for it.
Right.
All they're going to do is point the finger at law enforcement and say, why didn't y'all do something?
Mm.
That's the reason why they're there. They're not there for the crowds. It's too many of them. They're there for the players.
The coaches take the fall.
30,000 people sitting in the stands. That's impossible. They're there for the 100 and so players that are on the field and the coaches and the staff. So that's why I don't have a problem with pepper spray, because I don't see any other option. What other option is there to break that up?
But the coaches take
now let's go back to you said the pepper spray had to be used. The guys over there fighting and doing that. And now you're talking about things being soft. Well, don't let them plant the goddamn flag in the first place. All the stuff is happening because the flag was literally planted. So we don't have to use pepper spray. We don't have to go with anybody getting tragically hurt. Just you got your dub, you got your big dub, you got the upset win. Celebrate on the field. Go to social media like you're gonna do anyway. Go back to the damn locker room. So it's kind of like that avoids all of that. There's no really need to just like, hey, we got to plant the flag if it's going to cause all of that. If you're going to let them, because my thing is, you could say that, if them going and planting the flag, if nothing was going to happen, cool, no problem. Because the main thing is to do what? As security, you're trying to do what? You're trying to make sure everybody gets home safe. came in and just how they started. Everybody goes home the same way. Don't let them plant the flag. That's just that avoids anything, pepper spray, anything.
I think to the point that even Trey had mentioned earlier, I think that's more than likely what's going to happen, because I think in a lot of instances, leagues especially try to regulate the game. There was another thing that was going on this weekend, even in the Steelers game. They're trying to get rid of signs like the anything you do with your hand, if it's like points like a gun or whatever, that's you either getting a fine or you're getting a flag or a penalty in the games or whatnot. So it's seeing a lot of these, any kind of taunting behavior, they're trying to get that out of the game. They don't mind you running and making your snowman stuff, but anything, back in the day, they used to have the knife slash gestures and just all those things they're trying to legislate out of the game. So I think that's more than likely what's going to happen here. That any kind of they're definitely going to be monitoring the celebrations and anything that's looked at out of a taunting type of nature. Either they're going to call it, which could certainly cost you, if not position, if not the game, or certainly fines or penalties later on. So I think that's more than likely the track that they're going to be on with this. So and especially the fact that they happen in bunches. If there was like spread out throughout the year, but it was like 3 incidences that all kind of went awry within the same weekend. Anytime you get that kind of exposure, I don't even know if we would be talking about it so much if you didn't have that sort of mass of things all kind of going on at the same time.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can I say I'm about to bounce.
Hey, man.
But before you go, Trey, I want you to stay for a minute, Trey.
I'm literally getting ready to log off. I'm getting ready to log off. One way you fix this, you start taking bowl appearances back. That'll stop this. Right? If you tell a team, if you get caught up in any flag planting type of situation, you're not bowl eligible for that year. Right? Just for that year. It got to be years, and I guarantee you nobody will be planting flags ever again. That way you don't have to find them, you don't have to, just the mere threat of, if you do this, you won't be able to go to a bowl game. That will stop it right then and there. And that way you don't have to legislate it out, you don't have to fine anybody, you don't have to do any of it.
The only thing is, in this particular situation was Michigan, they're not going to a bowl anyway.
Now they're going. They're bowl eligible. They just probably, I don't know if they
jeopardize the player who planted the flag instead of the team, because not the whole team didn't plant the flag.
Oh my God!
But then you could just have the ball boy plant the flag. Like, what are you gonna do to him?
Yeah, he's lost his scholarship. Take your ass home.
They're gonna find a way around that system.
Yeah, we doing too much with this man, guys.
Hey, hang on, Trey. Good seeing you, brother. You take care of yourself.
Good seeing you, Trey.
See you next time. Yep.
Good seeing you, Trey, man. Man, guys. When did we lose? Listen, what happened to the days? I remember in high school when I played ball, we would fucking go and destroy their mascot. We would go and paint their wall. What happened to the days where this shit was nothing? Like, I don't. People have been running on the field.
It depends on where you're at. Like I said, I've been in environments where, look, if you know you're going into a bad environment, you just want to get your win, play the game, and get on the bus and get out.
Yes.
So we weren't about to go trying to paint, even if we upset them, go spray painting this or vandalizing that or doing whatever or taunting. Get our dub and go out, because we knew who we were going against. Not just them, but also the crowd that was in the stadium.
But I have a problem with the taunting too. Like, I have a problem with the taunting in the game, outside of the game. If a receiver catches a ball and he throw the peace sign up at the cornerback, they take the touchdown. This shit's crazy.
That's wild. I don't agree with that one at all.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point, man, that they're softening up. Because I'm telling you guys, if you go back and do your research, I just looked it up on my phone. People have been running on the field since the 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I said, that yeah.
Yes.
But we're talking about specific. I mean, again, the taunting. You know, I mean, like I said, back in the day, like, did you agree when guys did the knife action with on the basketball course? Or did you agree with that?
Yeah, because you're actually doing something to the other team, getting in their head. Like take Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman said he used to stick his thumb in people's asses. So I'm just, it's like they do anything to get in the head. Or Lawrence Taylor said he used to buy prostitutes for the opposing team when they came to town, for the prostitutes to have sex with them all night and wear them out for the game the next day. Like, this team would do different types of things to get into the head of the team. But what I'm saying to you is this: when they go out there and plant that flag like Baker Mayfield did, he said to the president that we came in here as the underdogs. We whooped your ass. Now take this L.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like people get it. I don't know what I went to the Colorado TCU game. And TCU was I was at the home stadium. Do you understand the things that those people were saying in the stands? You motherfucker, you're underrated. You did fuck you, Coach Prime, you son of a bitch. But after, right, during the game, they throwing shit, they mad, they upset. But it was fun because I got to interact with other people. We was talking shit back and forth to each other, and I just think it's gotten so soft, man. When people run on the field, if you get 40 men on the field, and this is what I was going to say on Trey, if you get a team and 19 of them are fighting and the other 30 are not fighting, that's a problem for me. Because I heard Deion Sanders say this at one of his practices when they were fighting each other. The defense was fighting the offense. He said, I only have 4 defensive linemen. I only have 4 defensive backs fighting the entire offensive team over there. He said, if 3 of them fighting, all of you fight.
Mm-hmm.
So even as a coach, if you take the players and try to take 20 in the locker room, they're going to leave their brothers out on the field fighting? That's just not going to happen. They're going to defy you as a coach.
But BMU, like you understand football, right? So on this level, each position coach has a certain number of players, and I'm just speaking of the time today. Back in the day, yes, we used to go in there, tell you we're gonna beat you by 40, and taunt you all the way out the parking lot. Took our chances, but today it's a different climate because it's hard to pull players back. I saw one player was throwing coaches off of him, and the players like, man, I ain't listening to none of y'all. I'm ready to fight, and he wasn't even involved in the play.
Mm.
And having fans, because it's more than just a team. I'm thinking about the innocent people, the managers, the equipment boy, all of them, man. They could have got hurt because once they start fighting, it's a brawl. Somebody break an ankle, and I know anybody in here had a son. If you heard your son got pepper sprayed, you looking to call the school president, like, what the hell happened to my son? So it's just a safety issue for me. So
to me, it's kind of a sort of self-validating point. If in fact you're dealing with these sensitive people who are superhuman, freakish athletes to begin with, and they're chemically enhanced, and you're going to put them in a situation where there is potential for that to go down, why not just mitigate against that ever being the situation? Because I don't know if we're going to go back to this. We're not going back. Like I said, they trying to take. I was upset. My man George Pincus for the Steelers. He just does. In fact, someone played a video just today of all the guys who did the exact same sign. That first down with the pistol kind of thing, first down, and they weren't. There was no flag, and they were doing it right in front of the ref. So if this is the athletes that we're dealing with today, then again, I think just like children, if they can't be responsible, you got to take away privileges. So I don't see how we go back to the 70s and whatnot, where you can body slam people in the horse collars. I don't know what you could do with that, black man.
Well, Mr. Bennett, I got one more thing for you though, Mr. Bennett.
Okay.
Even in the Colorado game, I'm just watching it and it just pisses me off. The low hits you should do, okay, they didn't call it. But when they played Texas, I think it was Texas Tech, and Deion went to the referee and said, "Hey, listen, they throwing stuff at my boy, bottles and stuff at my players." He said, "Well, you should tell your players to stop blowing kisses when they score." See, that's what it's coming to. So even the referees are going to allow things to happen to the players. So then what's the consequences of the refs? Because even in the NFL, if you say something about them, you get fined.
Yeah.
Right? You can't talk about the referees, but they're included in the bullshit. That referee looked at Deion and said, "Tell your boys to stop blowing kisses at the crowd."
Yeah.
So what do you do about that?
Yeah, it's problematic. So when you're going to have this subjective way refs are going to call games, if they're not going to be consistent with it, that's always going to be a problem when refs aren't calling it down the middle. But I think that again, most likely, again, the fine's going to happen. I even could consider Trey's idea that again, you might be taking away bowl eligible. But again, if you have like all the upsets we've seen this year, Alabama losing and all that to teams that not even going to smell the play a bowl game, I don't see how that would affect them. You know what I mean? So I think that more than likely, again, the severe fines or what have you, and to the schools or whatnot, I think that'll trickle down from the AD to the coaches and to and to the players. I just think that's the natural progression how this thing is going to go. But the BMU, anything else you guys say before you go? You good?
Oh no, so I'm good. Y'all have a good rest of the show.
Okay, bro. Always appreciate your input, brother. Thanks for hopping in. Yes, sir. Brother Shawnee in the show. So we good to have you on. Glad you made it. So again, we've been going obviously a few rounds with this as far as the flag planting and whatnot. What do you want to just give you a little 2 cents on this? How you think about it? Do you think it should be banned or whatever? How do you see all this stuff going down? What's your thoughts on this situation?
Well, I look at it as far as the action of the flag planting itself. That shouldn't be banned as far as that action, but everything is so relative to the society we live in today. Because not so long ago, who really was doing that flag planting in the middle of the opponent's field was Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
But there wasn't a response like that because it wasn't, even though within 6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
it was just the ignition switch wasn't that quick then. If somebody do something else, tempers will super flare up like that. Now, it's just people ignite so much quicker nowadays, especially compared to like the 90s, the 80s. Well, the generation, a lot of people like to compare today's football to when it comes to the stuff that was allowed back then to now.
Yeah, especially the hits.
Yeah, you see it in college basketball. Everybody didn't storm the court. You stormed the court when there was like a significant victory over like a powerhouse team.
Yeah, you beat upset a
Now
number
you
one or
got
something
people,
like that. Yeah.
if somebody's ranking the top 25, they could be ranked number 24. And then a school, just outside the rankings, they win, they're going to storm the court. So it's just, today's time, it's just so much more, it's just a whole lot more going on. So when you plant the flag, like that, teams should be able to, if the argument was just between the teams themselves and they just kind of chirping back and forth, so be it, because football is an emotional game. But now, especially with the Michigan Ohio State game, you knew it reached a boiling point when cops had to get involved using the tear gas and whatnot, the spray,
Pepper spray. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you knew, okay, now you done cross, because now normally coaches and whatnot, and they can separate their teams when they get physical like that. But not even they was able to stop because it lost control. So cops had to step in and start pepper spraying. So you knew it reached a level of, well, damn, this is just too high. And I think with American sports, because I was just, I received a notification, I think it was like this weekend or something. We complain about our little teams fighting or whatnot over a flag planting, compared to other countries that go ballistic over these soccer games.
Yeah.
I was just looking at, it was one country that had people killed and injured because a stampede broke out. I remember watching a 30 for 30 win at a soccer game in the stands. People just kept, somebody was able to break in through one of the entrance of the stadium, and once everybody saw it, the security guard just lost control, and just everybody started flooding the stadium. And they just kept packing and packing and packing, and were literally, the people who was up against the fence, they literally got crushed to death against the fence. It's like a 30 for 30 thing, and you can see pictures where one lady, her face is literally smashed against the fence, and she just got suffocated to death. So stuff like that thankfully it don't happen in the U.S. and they try to keep that from it because unfortunately it happens. I won't say frequently, but it's numerous occasions. Where it happens
and in those stadiums and arenas that you're talking about, I mean, you'd be seeing those police full riot gear, shields, the whole batons, the whole line.
Exactly.
And I don't necessarily want to see American sports get to that sort of fever pitch. But you're right. I mean, you
see it already with fans. They already got liquor in the stadium, so they always fighting each other. You're like, they're just fighting each other every game, but they do that. So just imagine if that just magnifies, because now they seeing the teams that they rooting for on the field, they going at it, and then all of a sudden they get onto the field. I'm surprised nothing really happens, especially in a football game, where teams like, what was that game? It was just recent when the fans stormed the field prematurely, and they
I think it was it Arizona? Arizona State?
Yeah, it was Arizona State. And they literally took like 30 minutes plus to clear that out just so they could finish the last second so they could do a Hail Mary. But I'd be surprised when fans storm the field like that, especially after an emotional game, the opposing team, because they just come out. They just come bum rush you. And then the opposing team, they already pissed off that they lost. I'm surprised you don't see nothing really happening as far as, so it's just with the whole flag planting, yes, there was a time that players were able to do that, and then if anything happened, it was just amongst the players on the field. But cops didn't really have to get involved. If cops get involved, that means they went too far. But now you have to worry about not only the respective fan base, because they will use any excuse now to jump on the field. Now you have a complete melee and just a chaos session. And you're like, people nowadays, they just can't control themselves like they used to. That's the main reason why we can't do what we used to do back in the day. That's the main reason. People they don't respect people like they used to. So if you give them an excuse to act loose, they're going to act loose, and they're going to get to the point that you're not going to be able to control them. And then now we got to read about you on the news, and the security going to get fired. I have to go through all that.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we'll see what but like I said, I think a lot of this just came the fact that there were 3 incidents in 1 week. I think that's what really brought the attention, because usually these things are kind of spread around.
It would have been 4 because Texas was trying to.
Correct. Yeah. You're right. Coach said he stopped that, but it might have been for stuff that was earlier done in the day, and he probably saw that and he was like, "No, we're not doing that." But we got about 18 minutes left in the show. I'm gonna do what I've typically done in the past. This is gonna be a round robin, so I'm gonna just throw the topics again. Obviously, we were talking about trying to get into the NFL earlier, so I'm just going to take the top stories that I saw from the NFL. Any one of you can take on any topic that you want, or if you have a particular topic that you want to bring up, you can certainly bring that. So obviously I was talking about Chicago. Now, again, I do recall that I was the only person on this show last week who said that the Detroit-Chicago game would be close. All you guys were saying 2 touchdowns and all that kind of stuff. I do remember, and I told JT, you escaped with another one. Okay, shout out to What We Know podcast in the chat. But I did say the game would be a lot closer than what it was. Once again, it was Chicago's ineptitude that led to at least a tie. They had a chance at least to tie the game, if not win the game. But horrible clock management that ultimately led to the coach's firing. Again, Chicago just finds a way to lose in the waning seconds of games yet again. So we have that story. Probably the biggest game of the week was you had the Ratbirds from Baltimore. Shout out to R. Payne and all those folks from that area. Ratbirds versus the Eagles, and we know who the alpha predator is. The Eagles, Saquon, he got off. Justin Tucker, Hall of Fame kicker, but he seemed like he's got the yips. Then you had the Steelers playing Cincinnati, and we saw Russ cook. So, again, for all those guys who were saying leave Justin Fields in there, well, again, my man, 400 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. clearly a blown call. They grabbed my man Pickens by the face mask and dragged him to the ground. So pick 6. But again, Russell Wilson went out there and won it. And then obviously you had the Jets up like 3 scores, find a way to lose that game again. So again, the disaster continues for the Jets. And then lastly, again, we had obviously the Houston and Jacksonville game. Again, vicious hit. In fact, I just saw earlier, I think he's out for the rest of the season, which is probably certainly a good thing since Jacksonville isn't going anywhere. But again, any thoughts on that in regards to that? So those are the topics. You got Chicago. You got the Ravens-Eagles matchup. You got the Steelers with Russell Wilson. You have the ineptitude of the Jets. And then you got the Houston Jacksonville game. Any comments on the hits or whatnot? So you're free to take any one of those topics, and if you want to comment on it, or if you have something else you want to comment on, you can just take it from there. So we'll just go there and we'll just go around as we wind the show down. Sean, if you want to start, and we just go around. Go ahead, Dante.
I go with the Houston Jacksonville game. Being a Texas fan, it was the topic of the week. Basically, Texas fans many of them just complaining because they didn't like the suspension, the 3-game suspension. They thought it was super harsh. I wasn't the amount of games. I guess you could say, oh, that was a lot, but I wasn't surprised that I thought he's going to get maximum 2 games. But I'm not surprised with the suspension because Al Shazier, he has a track record, but I don't want to call him. He's not a dirty player. He is. He can be reckless.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he don't be doing. You know, it's not like he does stuff to like intentionally hurt somebody, but he do get caught up in the moment. You know, the whole. I don't know if y'all remember, it was a play when Joe Flacco got hit by Kiko Alonso.
Yeah.
It was just like that. That was, I think, was closer. I think Alonso had a closer gap, and he still knocked out. I think between Lawrence and Al Shazier, he had a little bit more of a gap. Plus, the biggest thing they were looking at because he led with his forearm.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest thing. But yeah, he had some flats back in the past, causing fights on the sideline after he just tackled somebody outside, late hit on the sideline. You know, so you look. I mean, of course, you never. I think he's the best. He leads the team in tackles, but he's not a known name amongst the league as far as the fans. So you know, a lot of time once they know your name, all of a sudden they're gonna put a lot of. Hell, he's not even a known name like that in Houston. Like, you know, so they gonna just judge off this one incident, I guess. But if you look him up, yeah, he has a slight track record, and you know, with the NFL, when they come down with like what appears to be a harsh penalty, they compiling because he never got. I don't think he got suspended for the other one. He got fined. Yeah, he's got fined and he continued playing. But it's like, okay, now you add this up, and you can go look at that. What's that? Sports Track where they had the contracts and whatnot, and they list his fines and you know his whatever his suspensions and whatnot on there. You can see them. He already had he got 3 this year and 2 last year, so they add them up. So, you know, I don't think he's a dirty player, but he can be just reckless. He just kind of gets caught up in the moment at times. So it was a big topic. Of course, Houston fans. With Houston, they already got the Astros thing. That whole Astros thing and the scandal.
Houston's just dirty. Houston City's just dirtier.
Well, they fully embrace us versus everybody.
Right.
So as soon as they
almost like the Philadelphia
Yeah.
fans. Then y'all
As soon as
adopted
they
that.
feel like the national media's coming at them, they will put a wall up and everybody be on that wall ready to fight anybody that comes to that city talking about them. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
I hear you. Dante, what you got, sir?
I mean, I know they compiled it, but I thought maybe a game. I mean, I know he got a history, so y'all be fine to suspend him. I thought 3. I do think possibly it might end up getting reduced. I don't know if they're going to reduce it to 2 and just take a game off, or reduce it to 1 because I know he's going to have his appeal, but he'll probably at least sit 1. And I think it looked bad when you look at it, and it was rough. And I know they keep saying, hey, What are we going to do? The quarterback's running, and they're going to stop them. And it's like, hey, they got to figure out what to do. I do think you probably do need to kind of embrace it and say, hey, maybe some things like the fake slides and things like that. It's like, hey, if you're going down, you're going down. And then that kind of, I do think you need to appease the defenders like that and not just having all that. And then I'll say on the Bears, if you're going to fire Eberflus now, why didn't you fire him early? If you were going to keep him, you needed to give him an extension and be like, hey, this is the guy we're going to keep. This is the right man for the job. But if you're going to do that now, you should have. The perfect thing was to wipe the slate clean. New quarterback, new regime, obviously same, front office and everything, but new coaching staff, brand new staff, because that's a new coaching staff to everybody, and then a quarterback from day one. Now, once again, you have a quarterback who's going to have another coach, two coaches, 2 years, and that's going to set him back. And he hasn't been spectacular like it was billed to be, but he hasn't been bad. For everyone saying it, he hasn't been bad. Everything is even out with the rookie quarterbacks from Daniels to now Bo Nix looks like the guy, which I didn't foresee. I thought he would be okay, but it's like, yeah, man, the Bears just being inept, just crazy.
Yeah, unfortunately. Coach, what you got? Topic of the week. Which one to select?
I don't know, man. I was gonna touch on Chicago. Listen, man, about damn time, man. About time, man. Yeah, I think
shout out to our guy Hank in the basement. I'm sure he's ecstatic about this move too. So
Chicago, until Chicago go back to a brother at head coach, they're gonna always have losing.
So is this the curse of Lovie Smith? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, it's the curse of Lovie Smith. He had a losing record and they let him go. And they have to get some free agents. They finally figured they found the quarterback of the future and got these free agents, but they need a quarterback coach. They need an offensive-minded coach. So, it is what it is. Suspensions are going to happen. You can't hit $100 million quarterback, $200 million quarterback, and not expect to get a suspension. He's going to serve all 3 games because if Trevor Lawrence is out for the year, then he's going to serve all 3 games. I don't know, man. NFL, they pick and choose what they want to do sometimes. So it's just unfortunate. And again, like I said before, this is a different football season in the cold. We're starting to see the teams that will run the ball shine and the teams that can do both. These I think LA is going to they're going to Kansas City. That's a loss for LA. It's going to be a loss because they can't handle that cold weather, man. It's a different football game. So
yeah,
to the teams that win in the cold, man.
Sounds good. I'm going to comment again. I saw Ravens Eagle again. This was the biggest game of the week, and I'm seeing once again the Ravens against a quality opponent, top opponent. They haven't really beaten. Have that. I thought they might have righted the ship when they beat San Diego, certainly in San Diego. But now they come right back and they lose again. So again, inconsistent. Even though they're supposed to be the highest offense in the league, yet in a lot of these games, not getting the points on. I know Tucker certainly hurt them in the kicking game, but still, what happened to the touchdowns on the field? So again, is in fact, it's going to be on them if Lamar Jackson continues to show up small in these big moments. So if it's Kansas City, he shows up small. Pittsburgh. Again, they won 9 of the last 10 games, and Lamar is 1-4 against us. Now you got the Eagles, and with their offense, and Saquon Barkley, who I think has certainly separated himself. I think he's still on pace to break 2K. And certainly is a leading MVP candidate. I know that's usually given to quarterbacks, but I think he's certainly in the running for that. But again, this is Lamar. Again, on his, I believe this was a home game at Baltimore, showing up small once again. So again, I'd be worried about, for everyone talking about, this was supposed to be the year for the Ravens. They got the additional offense. They got Henry and whatnot. He had 19 carries. A lot of people saying, well, the games they lost, he was under 15 carries, but he had, I think, 19 for 82 or 85, something to that effect. But again, certainly, Lamar not making the big plays when he needs to make them. And I would be very concerned now they're at 7-5. Now they have to worry about even, are they going to make the playoffs? Because the AFC West is very strong certainly with San Diego still going to be there, even though they beat them. Denver's in the mix, certainly they're going to be making the case to get into the playoffs. And, so they're going to, they may be certainly a much lower seed and they may have to do the wild card, on the road to get there, which is going to be another disadvantage to them. So if I'm Baltimore, if I'm a Baltimore fan, I'd be very worried about, about this team and one, making the playoffs, and second, how far they can really go. Because again, I think going into the season, a lot of people were expecting them to do big things. And so the Lamar was a leading MVP candidate. The numbers are there, but you can't be losing these games that you should be if you want to be one of those elite teams where Detroit is at this point, where Buffalo and Kansas City at this point. This was supposed to be the year you're supposed to prove that, and I'm not seeing that at all. So definitely, I would be concerned of as I was a fan. But certainly, just as we start our closing comments, one thing I want to certainly lift up. I don't know if you guys saw, but you have the Hard Knocks. They doing a series now. The premiere was last night on the AFC North. Certainly it's streaming on Max, and I even saw a couple places on YouTube. You could probably find it. But again, one thing that it definitely showed you that Mike Tomlin is a star. Like, I know he hates this stuff. He doesn't want to be public. He just wants to do his thing. But he is a natural on Hard Knocks. I think people are going to be tuning in every week just to listen to what he has to say. Everybody knows about his Tomlinisms and all the things he says. Football's our game, but our business is winning and whatnot. But the way he interacts with his players, how he motivates everybody collectively. We saw a contrast in terms of how Russell Wilson was treated in Denver, and now you see how he treats them and whatnot. So again, it's just a different energy that he gives. You would think, well, why hasn't he been more successful? But again, Steelers have never been big on acquiring big money free agents and whatnot. So he's made a lot of lemonade out of lemons. But I think he has a really good team, solid defense. Russell Wilson is definitely making the difference. They've shown that they can put points on the board in a high scoring affair like against Cincinnati. And certainly each team, they go into each camp and whatnot, and shows what's going on there. The only one that they didn't feature a whole lot was Cleveland because their game was on a Monday night. But yeah, Hard Knocks, Mike Tomlin and whatnot. I mean, if anything, look at it as a major recruiting tool. If I'm a free agent and be like, look, I want to play for the Steelers, I want to play for that guy. Certainly he made his case on the show, but he's a natural star, even though he doesn't want it. But I was very impressed with the production, and so certainly shout out to the Steelers, first place in the AFC North. They control their own destiny. Certainly looking to get a 2 seed. They play Kansas City at the end of the year, and that could possibly be for the 2 seed. But they got a long road. They got obviously the rematch with the Browns, and they have to go to Philly to play the Eagles. Not an easy game, especially after seeing how Saquon and the Eagles did that previous night. So again, shout out to them. But again, definitely worth watching the show. I think you'll be tuning in every week if you're a football fan. So that's all I got. But Shawnee, if you want to start with your closing comments.
Well, real quick, I guess I'm assuming you saw that clip of Tomlin when I guess he was mic'd for the game. He was heading to the locker room. Players talking about he was a fed. But yeah, I guess my final thoughts. I'm sure y'all spoke about it earlier in the show with the college football playoff projections. I was like, I believe this is why people believe that there's like a bias with SEC, because I fully understand, and people always love to throw this argument around about, okay, name me whatever team that would be better to put in place in Alabama. But I'm like, okay, especially in college football, you can only play with who you play, and it's one thing like, okay, Notre Dame had a bad loss when they lost to Northern Illinois, who was not ranked at the time, but it was early in the season. So they had games afterwards to make up for it. Alabama, at the time, they was controlled their own destiny for the most part until they had that bad loss against Oklahoma at Tuscaloosa. You don't get Oklahoma at the time only had one SEC win, and you lose 24-3, and you only have one game afterwards, so it's hard, to kind of make up for that loss. Meanwhile, you got a streaking team with South Carolina, and then you have Miami. You got to really look at them, but because it was such a bad loss late in the season, and they still have them in the projections, like the only team that potentially can, I guess the only team that's not really guaranteed a spot right now, because there's several teams in the projections that even if they lose a conference title game, they will still be in there. And I believe if Clemson beat SMU, even though SMU will have a better record than Alabama and still made it to a respective conference title game, even if they lose, they will not put SMU over Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
They will still put Alabama over SMU, and I think it's just kind of a prelude. It's going to be really real madness, I believe, next week if that were to happen. Like SMU, and I believe they know this. We have to win to get in, because if we lose this game, even though it could be a close loss, they are not going to choose us because they don't. SMU is one of them teams they don't want in there. If you are not a traditional powerhouse for the most part, it's your first time in the ACC. You go undefeated in there, so you in here by default. But if there's a chance you slip up, we're gonna kick you down. We don't want you in here. We rather have Alabama and they tradition or whatnot. So that's why a lot of people believe that there's a bias with the SEC, because they get so much chances. Like, so they could probably make the playoff with 5 losses.
For sure. Dante, what you got to close this out, sir?
Man, speaking of the SEC, I just want to talk about, there's a team that's been in the SEC, one of the newer members, Texas A&M, might have heard of them. They had a 13-year head start on the University of Texas. But the University of Texas actually was the first one of the two to actually make the SEC title game. So congratulations to Texas. Congratulations to Aggie and all the Swain Stadium and all of that. And it was just quiet over there. They waited. They built their identity and waited for this game. And that's why you heard at the end of the game, you heard the SEC chants. And you was like, hey, why are they chanting that? It's because we had to hear about, oh, man, we're in the SEC playing the top competition. We're this, we're that. And for you to get embarrassed. And that goes to say Texas is going to go and gets the rematch against Georgia. I know my thing is, if either of the quarterbacks can just play a little bit better, their quarterback performances in the game and matchup in October was putrid. I got Texas right in the wrong. I got Coach Sarkisian coming up with a better offensive game plan. And if all else fails, if Quinn Ewers, he gutted out that game in A&M. If he's not looking right, go ahead and put Arch in the game, man, and see what he can do. But I got Texas in a close one.
Awesome. Coach, it's on you. Close us out, sir.
I mean, man, I hope everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving, man. We done gained a few extra pounds, man. Now we can start going into our little weight loss programs, man. End the year on a good note. Start the year off on an even better note, man. Salute, man. Again, the real football is now here. So all of you fair weather fans, sit back and watch the real football play out. So it's going to be a lot over these next few weeks, man. Sports is here to stay. Don't let your dumb kids storm the field and plant flags on the visitors' field, because he could end up with a concussion for real. So just be careful. Salute to all the sports fans, players, coaches, managers, water boys, towel boys, whatever position you play. Salute, man. So
Awesome. Well, again, thank you everyone for joining us on this very lively discussion tonight on planting and taunting and all those things, and the state of today's player. Again, this discussion no doubt will continue. Hopefully we won't have any major incidents or whatnot, and guys be safe. And, just, again, if you lose, just get off the field, as fast as you can, and just learn from the experience and come back next time. But for everyone, again, I want to thank you for joining us. And, we'll see you certainly next week. Enjoy the games over the weekend. Enjoy the rest of your week. Until next time, for Mr. Bennett, Coach Ferg, Shawnee, Dante, you guys have a great week. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.
All right, guys, another one in the books. Another great episode on the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Listen, we're doing the thing over here. So, guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button. Also, if you want to donate to the channel, which helps the channel, hit your boy Cash App. It's scrolling right here, right there, at the bottom of the screen, and support the channel. But we're happy that you're here, and we look forward to seeing you on every episode. So hit the notification button so you know when we go live. Thank you again, guys, for watching. We out.